William White froze mid-bite, the steak knife hovered in his hand. Because the little girl standing beside his table was staring directly under it. "There's a recording device beneath your table," she said quietly. "And there are vehicles outside, waiting to chase you down and kill you." For a second, the entire restaurant felt like it had stopped breathing. William didn't react, not outwardly. Men like him didn't survive billion-dollar wars by panicking in public. But inside, something cold slid down his spine. Because the girl didn't look scared, she looked certain. "Before we go any further, tell me where you're watching from right now in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get started." The restaurant was one of the most exclusive spots in Florida. Private, elegant, controlled, William's favorite, same table, same time, every Friday. Which is exactly why this didn't feel like coincidence. He slowly placed the knife down. Across from him, his date, Claire, laughed softly, unaware. "You okay?" she asked. William didn't answer her, his eyes remained on the girl. She couldn't have been older than 10, black, small frame, worn sneakers. Standing beside a woman in a server's uniform, her mother. The woman looked embarrassed. "Ava, I told you not to." "Mom, please," the girl whispered urgently, then she looked back at William. "There's a small black square under your table. It's taped there. It has a tiny light." William's pulse slowed, not sped up, that was the dangerous part. Because now, his instincts were taking over. "Claire," he said calmly, without looking away from the girl. "Excuse me for a moment." He stood, casual, controlled, like nothing was wrong. But as he adjusted his suit, his hand slipped under the table, and then he felt it. A small, solid object, exactly where she said. His fingers paused. Then slowly, he pulled it free, a tiny black device. With a blinking blue light, recording, broadcasting. Claire's smile faded. "What is that?" William didn't answer. His eyes had already shifted toward the glass walls of the restaurant. Outside, parked across the street, were two dark SUVs, engines running, windows tinted, not normal for this area. Not for this time. "When did you see this?" William asked quietly. Ava didn't hesitate. "When we walked in. I saw the men put it there earlier." William's gaze sharpened. "Which men?" She pointed, not at the entrance, not at the kitchen, but toward the back, a worker. Mid-30s, pretending to wipe a table. But his eyes kept flicking toward William. Was he working alone? Or was this bigger? William turned slightly, just enough to hide the device in his palm. Then he leaned closer to Ava. "Listen carefully," he said. "Did you see anything else?" She nodded. "There are two men in each car outside, one of them has a gun. I saw it when they opened the door." Claire gasped softly. William didn't, but now, the situation had escalated. This wasn't surveillance, this was a hit. And here's the problem, he couldn't walk out the front. That's exactly what they were waiting for. He straightened up, his face calm, his mind moving fast, calculating exits. Angles, timing, mistakes, because one wrong move here. And he was dead before the police even arrived. He turned back to Claire, his voice smooth. "We're going to leave," he said quietly. She blinked. "Now?" "Yes. But the bill." "Doesn't matter." "But, how do you escape a trap? When they're already watching you?" William pulled out his phone, typed quickly. He sent a silent alert to local law enforcement. High priority, corporate threat level, he didn't call. Calls could be intercepted. He needed time, then he looked at Ava again. "You did the right thing," he said. She didn't smile. "Are they going to kill you?" she asked. The question hit differently, because it wasn't fear. It was curiosity, mixed with concern. William crouched slightly, bringing himself to her level. "Not today," he said. But even as he said it, His eyes flicked back to the worker. Ben, because now, Ben was moving. Not toward the kitchen, not toward another table. But slowly, toward them. And outside, one of the SUV doors opened. The trap was closing faster than expected. William stood instantly. "Claire," he said under his breath. "Don't look outside." Her breathing quickened. "What's happening?" "We're leaving through the back." "But..." No questions. Ben was closer now, too close. And his eyes locked onto William's hand, the one holding the device. He knew, and the moment he knew, everything changed. Because Ben reached into his pocket, William's voice dropped to ice. "Move. Now." They turned, fast, heading toward the hallway leading to the back exit. Behind them, a chair scraped loudly. Someone shouted. And then, outside, engines roared to life. The hunt had begun. The hallway to the back exit felt longer than it should have. Every step echoed, too loud, too exposed. Claire's heels clicked rapidly against the floor as she struggled to keep up. "William, what is happening?" she whispered, panic rising in her voice. "He didn't slow down. Someone wants me dead," he said flatly. She stopped for half a second. "What?" He grabbed her wrist. "Keep moving." Behind them, footsteps. Fast, not one person, but more. Now, how many were involved? William's mind was already mapping outcomes. Front exit, blocked. Main floor, compromised. Back exit, unknown. They reached the steel door. William pushed it open. Cold night air hit instantly. But what he saw made him stop. Another car, parked near the alley, engine running, headlights off. Claire's voice cracked. "Oh my God." This wasn't just a front trap, they had covered the back too. William's jaw tightened. That meant one thing: this was planned. Precisely, and carefully. And that meant someone had studied him. His habits, his patterns, and his routine. Same restaurant, same table, same time, same Friday. He stepped back slightly, heart steady. Eyes scanning. There was still a gap, a small one. To the left, a narrow service alley. Dark, barely visible, but not blocked. "That way," he said. They moved fast. Behind them, the back door burst open. Ben, and two other men. "Stop," one of them shouted. Claire gasped. William didn't look back. "Run." They sprinted into the narrow alley, trash bins. Wet pavement, shadows swallowing them whole. Gunshot. The sound exploded through the alley. Claire screamed. "Keep moving." William snapped. Another shot, now closer. This wasn't intimidation, they were firing to kill. Didn't look like they would make it alive. William turned sharply, grabbing Claire and pulling her behind a dumpster. A bullet slammed into metal, sparks flew. Claire was shaking now. I can't. "You can," William said firmly. "Listen to me." His voice cut through her panic, sharp, commanding. The voice of a man used to control. "We move in 3 seconds. When we do, don't stop. No matter what you hear." She nodded, barely. 1. Footsteps getting closer. 2. Voices shouting behind them. 3. They burst out of cover. Running again, harder, faster. The alley opened into a side street. Traffic, movement, life. For a moment, hope. William scanned instantly. Taxi, across the street, engine on, driver inside. "Go," he shouted. They dashed across. A car honked loudly, nearly hitting Claire. William yanked her forward, pulled the door open, shoved her inside, jumped in after. "Drive," he barked. The driver hesitated. "What?" William slammed cash forward. "Now." The car jerked forward, just as the men burst out of the alley. One of them raised a gun, shot fired. The rear windshield cracked, spiderwebbing across the glass. Claire screamed again, but the taxi didn't stop. It sped into traffic, blending, disappearing. Silence, for a moment. Just breathing, heavy, unstable, alive. But were they truly safe? Claire turned to him, eyes wide. "William, what is going on?" He looked out the window, watching, thinking, calculating. "This wasn't random," he said. Her voice trembled, obviously. He ignored that. "This was planned. They knew where I'd be." She swallowed. "So, someone told them." William didn't answer immediately. Because now, a new thought had entered his mind. Something worse, the device. He slowly pulled it out again, staring at the blinking light. "They were listening," he said quietly. Claire frowned. "To what?" William's expression darkened. "To everything." And that's when it hit him, not just tonight. Every Friday, every conversation, every deal, every secret. Leaked. How long had this been happening? Claire leaned back, trying to process. "This is insane." William turned to the driver. "Take random turns. Don't follow a straight path." The driver nodded nervously. Sirens, faint at first, then louder. Police. But William didn't relax, not yet. Because something still didn't sit right. His eyes moved slowly back to Claire. She had gone quiet, too quiet. Her breathing had steadied, faster than it should have. And then she asked, a strange question. "Why didn't they just shoot you inside?" William's eyes locked onto hers. That question was wrong. Very wrong. Why would she ask that? He tilted his head slightly, studying her now, not as a date, but as a variable. "Because," he said slowly, "they wanted to make sure I didn't escape." Claire nodded, but her eyes flickered. A micro-expression, quick, but there. Recognition. William's pulse didn't rise, but his suspicion did. Because suddenly, this night wasn't just about an attack. It was about access, and Claire had access. 1 month. Enough time to learn habits, patterns, preferences. Like his favorite table, the air inside the taxi shifted. Tension, thick, silent. Claire forced a smile. "You think they'll be caught?" William leaned back slightly, still watching her. "They already are," he said calmly. Sirens were closer now. Red and blue lights flashed behind them, but William's focus never left Claire. Because now, a new question had taken over everything. Was she just unlucky, or was she part of it? The taxi slowed. Police vehicles surrounding the area behind them, blocking roads, moving fast. The driver exhaled. "Looks like you're safe now." William didn't respond, because he wasn't sure that was true. Not yet. Not until he knew who had really set him up. And why. Claire looked like she already knew the answer. The taxi came to a slow stop. Police lights flooded the street behind them. Officers moved quickly, blocking exits, shouting commands, securing the area. From the outside, it looked like the danger was over. Inside the car, it had just begun. William didn't open the door, didn't move, didn't blink. His eyes were still on Claire. "Step out of the vehicle," an officer shouted. Claire reached for the handle. William's hand shot out and grabbed her wrist. Not aggressive, not loud, but firm enough to stop her. "Wait," he said quietly. She turned to him, confused. "William, it's the police." "I know." William leaned slightly closer. His voice dropped to a whisper only she could hear. "Say it again." Her brows furrowed. "Say what?" "The question you asked." Claire forced a small laugh. "I don't even remember." "Yes, you do." Outside, another shout. "Sir." "Open the door." Inside, the air tightened. Claire's smile faded, just a little. William saw it, that was all he needed. "You knew," he said, not a question. Her eyes flickered, again, that same micro-expression. Confirmation, but how deep was she in this? Claire exhaled slowly, then leaned back. And just like that, the fear was gone. Replaced by something colder, sharper. "You're smarter than I thought," she said quietly. William's grip tightened slightly. "How long?" he asked. Claire looked out the window briefly, police lights reflecting in her eyes. 3 weeks, she said. William didn't react, but inside, everything aligned. That's when the pattern made sense. The sudden interest, the perfect timing, the effortless connection. It wasn't chemistry, it was strategy. "You picked the restaurant," William said. She nodded. "And the table," another nod. William's voice turned colder. "Ben." Claire smirked faintly. "Just a pawn." "And the cars?" "Also not mine." That answer hit differently. Because it meant she wasn't at the top, someone bigger was behind this. Someone powerful enough to coordinate everything. William leaned in slightly, eyes sharp. "Who?" Claire hesitated. For the first time since revealing herself, she looked uncertain. "That's the part," she said slowly. "You're not supposed to survive to find out." Outside, an officer slammed his hand against the window. "Open the door now." William didn't move, because now, this wasn't just survival. This was war. And wars weren't won by reacting, they were won by control. He released her wrist. "Open it," he said calmly. Claire blinked, surprised. "You're just letting me go?" William gave a small, cold smile. "No," he said. "I'm letting you think you're safe." That line hung in the air. Then she opened the door. The moment she stepped out, police rushed forward. "Hands up." She complied, calm, collected. William stepped out after her. An officer approached him immediately. "Sir, are you okay?" William nodded, but his eyes never left Claire. Because even now, she wasn't afraid. Which meant one thing, she still believed, this wasn't over. And she was right. Because suddenly, a loud screech echoed down the street. Another SUV, not from the restaurant, different direction. Faster, not stopping, heading straight toward them. "Move," an officer yelled. Gunfire erupted. The SUV didn't slow. It crashed through a police barricade, sending officers diving out of the way. Chaos. William didn't flinch. Because now, he understood, this wasn't about cleanup. This was about finishing the job. And eliminating loose ends, including Claire. Her eyes widened, for the first time, real fear. But was she about to be betrayed too? The SUV door swung open mid-motion. A masked man leaned out, gun raised, not at William, but at her. She froze. "Wait," she shouted. Too late, gunshot, she dropped. The SUV sped off, vanishing into the night. Police scrambled, more sirens, more shouting. But William stood still. Watching her, blood spreading across the pavement. The woman who planned his death just became collateral. Poetic, an officer turned to him. "Sir, we need you to." William raised a hand, stopping him, because his attention was somewhere else. Across the street, standing near the edge of the crowd. A small figure, Ava, holding her mother's hand. Watching everything, her eyes met his. Same calm, same clarity. And in that moment, William understood something deeper. Power didn't save him tonight, not money, not influence, not strategy. A child did, a girl who saw something wrong. And spoke up. While everyone else stayed silent. He walked toward her, ignoring the chaos behind him, ignoring the flashing lights. Just focused. When he reached her, he crouched slightly. "Are you okay?" Ava asked. William nodded once. "Because of you," he said. Her mother looked overwhelmed, confused. "What's going on?" she asked. William stood slowly. Then he did something unexpected. He removed his watch, a custom piece, worth more than most cars, and handed it to Ava. Her eyes widened. "I can't take that," her mother began. "You can," William said calmly. Then he looked directly at Ava. "You saw something others ignored," he said. "That makes you dangerous." She blinked. "But it also makes you important." He straightened his suit. And then, his voice turned cold again. Because now, there was one thing left. The real enemy. Somewhere out there, watching, waiting. Thinking the job had failed, but not finished, William's eyes hardened. "They made one mistake," he said quietly. Ava tilted her head. "What?" William's lips curved slightly. "They let me live." That line closed the final loop. Because now, this wasn't survival anymore. It was revenge. Cold. Calculated. Inevitable. He turned to leave. Police moving around him. Phones ringing. Orders being given. But William walked through it all. Like a man untouched. Because mentally, he was already somewhere else. Planning. Building. Preparing. For what comes next. He stopped briefly. Looked back at Ava one last time. "Stay observant," he said. Then he walked away. The camera of the story pulling back. Sirens fading, lights flashing. A city still unaware of the war that had just begun. And the one man who would end it. Sometimes, the most powerful people in the world aren't the ones with money. They're the ones who notice what others ignore. A whisper, a detail, a moment. Ava saved a billionaire, not with strength, but with truth. So the question is, if you saw something like that, would you speak up? Or stay silent? Tell me in the comments. Where are you watching from right now? And if you want more stories like this, stories of power, betrayal, and cold revenge, make sure you subscribe. Because the next one might be even darker.